This is a Dell XPS L502X. Even though OS X is still my favourite operating system, there are some programs that I still need Windows for, and I've decided that running Windows 7 in a virtual machine on my iMac is just a little too slow. So I chose this Dell because, well, basically the specs you get for the price. It's got a second generation i7 processor. More specifically, it's an i7 2630QM, 2 GHz with turbo boost up to 2.9 GHz. I'm not going to go into explaining that. It might make sense to some of you. So the first thing in the box is the power cable. Not very exciting. Hopefully I'm doing this the right way. Certainly not presented in the packaging as well as it probably could have been. This has 6 GB of RAM, 640 GB, 7200 RPM hard drive, which is faster than most laptop hard drives. Okay, that's everything out of the box. Not a lot in there. Now, I'm not expecting too much from the design of this because I appreciate Apple's design. I know I just sound like a complete Apple fanboy already, but I have just bought a Dell XPS to use Windows, so it's not too bad. Not sure what's in this bit, but we'll see. Okay, it just looks like all the documentation, any CDs perhaps with software, I'm not too sure. They certainly give you plenty. You've got the Dell software license agreement in a million languages as usual. Safety, environmental and other random information. Setup guide. I would hope I wouldn't need to read this in order to set it up. There we go. I actually got the reinstallation disk with drivers and utilities. Activating your mobile broadband service. NVIDIA 3D TV. Because the graphics card in this, it's a 2 GB NVIDIA GeForce GT 540M, and you can connect a 3D TV to it. The built-in display is not 3D, but it has HDMI 1.4, I believe, which supports 3D over HDMI. Okay, that's everything from that little box. And all we've got left is the laptop. So this has a 15.6 inch screen, 1366 by 768. I could have opted for a higher resolution, but I didn't bother. Quite a heavy laptop. Oh, there we go. But that's what I expected, considering the specs. I wanted a nice, powerful machine. It doesn't look too bad so far. I assume that was supposed to be covering the logo. It kind of fell off a bit. So on the bottom you can see the battery kind of sticks out there quite a lot, which is useful on a desk because it kind of props it up a bit. Maybe it's slightly annoying if you put it in a bag. So this has apparently very good speakers, one of the things they advertise. There we go. Keyboard covered. Looks quite nice actually, considering it's a PC. I've got to stop making comments like that. Okay, I'm not sure if this has a backlit keyboard. I'm guessing it doesn't. I didn't have the option to choose one. So some of the other specs that I haven't mentioned, I think I've mentioned everything that's important. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep Dell's copy of Windows on this or install a fresh copy, because manufacturers always like to install loads of rubbish software that you don't really want and just slows everything down, and it's rather annoying. And this only has Windows 7 Home Premium. Okay, we have a strangely large power transformer thing here, whatever that you actually call them. So perhaps I'll see what Dell suggests I do first from the setup guide. Actually, I'll take a quick look at the ports. I'll give you a tour around the sides of this thing. So we've got two headphone out ports there and a microphone in. We've got an eSATA port, always nice to have. On the back, display port, HDMI 1.4 as I mentioned. I think Ethernet is on the back. It's gigabit Ethernet as well. We've got the power cable or power port, I suppose, at the other side, along with USB 3.0. It has USB 3 ports, and then a Kensington lock. And on this side we've just got one of the USB ports, again USB 3.0. So it has 2.1 speakers, the 0.1 being a subwoofer which is in the bottom, which is quite cool for a laptop. I'm interested to see how it sounds. They've put stickers on the laptop. I never understand why manufacturers like to put stickers on your products. Stickers don't look nice. Okay, we've got some cautions and warnings. Connect the AC adapter, connect the network adapter, press the power button. And that's it, I suppose. So we'll boot this thing and see if it works. I actually think the keyboard has small plastic covering it that looks like it'll be awkward to get off. Oh no, there we go, I've got it. The keyboard doesn't look too bad, the keys are spaced out nicely. I prefer keyboards with gaps between the keys. Okay, that bit of the power cable is tiny, not to worry. This was supposed to be delivered on the 22nd. It arrived quite quickly considering today is only the 13th. Delivered by UPS. Tracked it from all the way from China. Okay, I've forgotten where the power cable goes in the back. There we go. Give me a minute, I'll plug this in. Okay, it suggested connecting it to the network. I'm not sure why you would do that straight away, since it has Wi-Fi. I'll not bother, I'll just turn it on. And I'll try and give you a decent view of this. You can see it reflecting curtains quite nicely there. It has a glossy screen. That didn't work. Do I hold it? Yes. I'm never a fan of glossy screens, although they can make screens look nicer, especially on a laptop. You're often going to be using it in a situation where lighting isn't brilliant, and it doesn't help with viewing at all. That reflection is actually terrible. There we go, that's slightly better. So with a second generation i7 processor, and according to CPUbenchmarks.net, it's like 37th best, like ranked 37th out of all of the processors on there, which is actually very good. So I am expecting some good performance from this thing. Setup is preparing your computer for first use. We'll see how much Dell has modified Windows here. So you saw you've got two outputs on this. I'm not sure if you can use two monitors simultaneously. I think you can, along with the built-in screen as well. Hopefully it will have that feature and let you essentially have a triple monitor configuration. So it's got a kind of like aluminium brush type of effect. It's darker than Apple's kind of aluminium colour. Okay, Windows 7 Home Premium. Already we've got a Dell logo. I'm not sure if you can see that, but it says Dell right there. So we're in the United Kingdom. Time English. The time is English. Okay. Keyboard layout United Kingdom. Should be fine. Okay, I need a username. I'll just call it XPS for now. Time for a password. Accept the license agreement. Use recommended settings for updates. The time looks... well, the time is wrong according to my Mac, but it's close enough. Join the network. So far the setup has been pretty standard, apart from the logo, but what do you expect? I would appreciate it if a manufacturer could just give you a fresh copy of Windows. I would love that, but they don't. Connecting to my network and applying settings. Would have been quicker if I used an Ethernet cable. And it's now going to restart the computer. At least it let you configure all of this yourself. I've seen OEM copies of Windows before where they've kind of set it up for you and you just give yourself a username. I'm sure some even give you a username, plastering their logo everywhere. Now this does come with a lot of software pre-installed that advertise all of the free software as features. But I don't really want any of it. As far as the design's concerned, it's quite nice. Certainly better than most PC laptops. I quite like the design. It's got a strange section at the back, which you'll have noticed earlier, that it extends further than the screen, which looks a bit odd. Of course, you've got the battery sticking out the bottom, which bigger battery, longer battery life, helpful for when you're at a desk. Every other situation, not so much. It's very thick and quite a heavy laptop. it would be nice if Dell could do something about how thick the laptops are. Making them thinner is always a nice feature to have. And hopefully these stickers will just peel off, but I'll try that later. The trackpad's a decent size, 2 buttons at the bottom. Doesn't have a number keypad on it, but that gives you more space for the keys, so none of the main part of the keyboard, so none of the keys at the side are squashed or compromised in any other way. I think the disk drive on here is just like a tray type thing. Nothing special there. You have the option of getting a Blu-ray reader in this, I think, but of course I didn't opt for that. Okay, Dell described this as mind-blowing audio. We'll soon see. Razor sharp graphics. It does have a decent graphics card, as opposed to internal or integrated graphics, or a graphics card which isn't any better than the integrated graphics, but they charge you more. I've seen manufacturers which do that. They charge you more because it has a dedicated graphics card, but really the performance won't be too much better than the integrated graphics anyway. So you can configure this with multiple processors, although it still seems to be a kind of pre-order type system on the website. Obviously they are manufacturing them, hence the XPS in front of me now. But you don't have much choice with the specs at the moment, but I would expect they would update that soon, because they do list quite a lot of processors and other components on the tech specs page for the XPS L502X as opposed to the previous model, which is the L501X. The difference being this has the 2nd generation i processors. Well, certainly the 2nd generation i7 is in this. This supports up to 8 GB of RAM. I won't be upgrading since it's already got 6. As I mentioned, you've got the choice between the 1080 screen or the 7681, which I got. Okay, Dell are going to update my software apparently, so I suppose I'll allow them. Yay, trials all ready to activate. I'm actually not going to even bother. I always love to fill the computer with trials. You can't just use the Windows straight away. This is the kind of thing I think Apple do better. I know Apple make this operating system themselves. I understand why companies like Dell do things like this. But there's a lot of little things which make the whole experience of a Mac better. The fans just kicked in there. It was quite noisy actually. I don't know how fast it would usually be running. The whole purchasing process from Dell is slightly strange. It is much easier from Apple. An example of the speakers, obviously not much use through YouTube. Okay, it looks pretty normal. They've given me an icon to go to eBay, completely unnecessary and unwanted. Oh, here we go. And I don't think that's the default background. Decided they would just give you their own. Okay, so why would anyone want this all of the time? I think it's still loading stuff as well. And in the top corner we have a little widget which seems to display CPU usage data. again, I don't know why an average consumer would care at all. Okay, is that it? Is that going to load anything else? They need to work on the experience for the user, because although they may think this makes it easier for people, we've got music, photos, videos, games, Dell Web. Just let you go to Dell Web includes Dell support, Dell's homepage, Dell on Twitter, and that's Dell on Facebook. That makes sense, sort of. Because they think everyone's going to love visiting the Dell website once they've purchased a Dell laptop. We've got shortcuts, but my point is this is just badly designed and people don't need it. So we've got shortcuts to all the trials of software that they've installed. Always helpful. And the sample music shows up there. Same with photos. So the software we've got, Adobe Reader is installed. Microsoft Office 2010. It's actually the useless version. I've forgotten what they call it. Or maybe, there we go, Office Starter, with the option to purchase a better version. I do have a full copy to install. Okay, we've got a Dell folder with Dell support software and utilities and Dell Support Center. We've got Dell DataSafe, Dell DataSafe Online, Dell Stage, Dell Webcam, which contains Dell Webcam Central, Dell Wireless. We've got games installed there, an Intel folder with Turbo Boost stuff, and Intel Control Center, Intel ProSet Wireless, maintenance folder. I don't know if that's a default one. McAfee trial, which it'll probably keep asking about. I'll be sure to uninstall it and get some free software instead. Silverlight is installed. I'm not sure if all of these are of Dell's doing or whether they're installed by Microsoft. Roxio Creator Starter. Skype is installed. We've got another NVIDIA folder. I think I may be pronouncing that wrong. Never mind. Okay, the only Windows Live stuff is installed is Windows Live Mesh and Windows Live Writer. Would I be right in thinking that Windows Live Mesh is... No, ignore me. I think they took it out of beta. I'm not sure. There we go, the Dell XPS. I'll get the model right, L502X. I'll see what Dell's version of Windows is like. I have a feeling I'll inevitably reinstall a fresh copy from Microsoft. Simply to get rid of all of the stuff they pre-install and to upgrade to a better version of Windows 7. So, as Francis has kindly pointed out, this video has been long enough. Thanks for watching.